They call it an X factor for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. There's some ineffable quality, perhaps even a spirit, which lives in a work of art, regardless of genre, and it makes you lean forward and think, this is cinema. Five Nights at Freddy's is not such a film. It's a soulless adaptation of a famous video game, devoid of the survival horror elements and cheesy gore that I'm sure most people would have wanted to see. No one does anything particularly bad, and so on paper I could even say that this film was set up to be decent. But everyone involved also don't do anything particularly good, which is why I think we must simply say there was some intangible thing missing. Before we dive in though, I do want to explain one thing. You can like something without necessarily thinking that it's good. You can watch Jackass, laugh till you're blue in the face, say you had a blast, and still recognize there are better comedians out there. So too is it the case with Five Nights at Freddy's. I can imagine fans of the game getting a huge buzz from this and liking it, but that doesn't mean it has iconic kills or a story which horror fans will still praise 30 years from now like we do with so many other horror classics. So the story follows Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson. He lost his younger brother to an abduction, then his parents died, and now he's trying to raise his younger sister while his mean aunt is trying to get custody. And what the fuck does this have to do with killer robots? Have the writers heard of the word overkill? The family drama alone should be its own separate movie. Are they cursed? Is there an evil spirit hunting down these kids? Why are so many horrible things happening to them? Why are we spending time discussing a custody dispute for the first third of a film called Five Nights at Freddy's? I'm going to cut my eyes out! It's just a lot of backstory and it really doesn't need to be there. So anyway, Mike's going through this drama and needs a job urgently. He's offered a security role by the creepy Steve Raglan, played by Matthew Lillard, at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He's advised to simply keep the lights on and his eyes on the monitors. Mike is trying to use sleep hypnosis though, and no, I won't get angry at that, to recollect the moment his brother was taken and finds that his dreams take on a new dimension when sleeping in Fazbear's. Could the disappearance of his brother have something to do with this mysterious pizza place? And then you get Five Nights at Freddy's, more or less. Things start off well enough for Mike and slowly become creepier and creepier, and eventually you get a whole thing involving the spirits of dead children residing in the killer robots. And they're seeking to kill Mike's younger sister, and Mike's missing brother is one of the victims of the owner of the Freddy Fazbear joint. It's a lot of tedious dialogue followed by a few goreless and unimaginative PG-13 approved kills, culminating in a finale which hints at the sequel. Given the time of the year, I can say with absolute certainty that you'd be better off rewatching horror classics this Halloween because the first major flaw is the runtime. It's an hour 50. Are you serious? The original Halloween was 91 minutes. Nightmare on Elm Street was 91 minutes. Friday the 13th was 95 minutes. You get the picture. Why do modern films always feel the need to draw things out?
And that's a short-ass movie. A really short movie, like at most an hour 40. Give me that short-ass movie.
The opening 20 minutes were solid with a strong setup, and everything suggests that we're in for a solid experience. That's the key word here, solid. But the movie shuffles along at an agonizingly slow pace. We don't even really have horror in this horror movie until the 35th minute, and it is mostly creepy scenes rather than a genuine fright. If you want to have some fun, rewatch the original Spider-Man and look at how much character and plot setup is given to us in the first 20 minutes. It's not unheard of to create tight stories, and so this is a genuine failing on the part of the creative team. So firstly, I can say with the utmost certainty that Five Nights at Freddy's would have been a stronger film if they chopped out superfluous scenes, and you'll notice this yourself. Insert shot after insert shot as if every little detail is relevant, but unfortunately it simply isn't. Get to the point. Get to the fun. Now, I will say a few compliments at this point because there are some bright spots, and I'd hate for you to think I'm just here to bag on the film. First and foremost, Mary Stuart Masterson is great as the queen of cunts, Aunt Jane. Masterson has proven to be a reliable character actor since her teen flick days, and even in a movie like this one doesn't half-ass her way towards a paycheck, which she absolutely could have done. Everyone else is doing a good enough job, with Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail being solid anchors as the two main characters, more or less. The animatronics from the Henson Company look great, and it was a really nice touch to have the monsters be tactile instead of a plasticky CGI. According to the internet, the film was a very faithful adaptation, and given Hollywood's history of pissing on fans of everything and anything, that's admirable and to its credit. All those things are totally passable, which is why I mentioned that on paper it really could have worked. But none of them connect to really make the film sparkle. Perhaps the original iteration of script and direction from Gil Keenan or Chris Columbus would have been better, because from what I can see, Scott Cawthon, the creator of the game and co-screenwriter, derailed the project back in 2018 with a new idea, which near as I can tell is what we got here. And Scott, mate, it was not a good idea. Now, just about every Blumhouse film you can imagine sits in the 5 to 6 out of 10 range, and it's no different here. What stands out to me is that a lot of other poorly reviewed films were at least entertaining. Five Nights at Freddy's was very tedious. Perhaps the fault lies with director Emma Tammi. If you look at her IMDb, then you'll see quite clearly that she doesn't have experience creating a great film or TV show. This inexperience is continued with the screenwriters, and so no one has really had success prior to this one making films. That wouldn't be the end of the world if they were given a couple million and expected to make a rough and tumble Blumhouse picture like the first Purge film. But in this case, they received $20 million, and it doesn't look or play like a film with such a budget. I don't think it's unreasonable to say a $20 million film should be judged a little more critically than a film with a budget of $3 million. I recently watched Willy's Wonderland after a positive review from the Critical Drinker, and that film is everything this picture could have been and more. It's gory, silly, and unashamedly good horror fun made with a budget of $5 million and a runtime of 88 minutes. They had the template ready and available, so there's really no excuse for failure. And so I do think an R rating would have worked better, especially given Emma Tammi doesn't seem to know how to create interesting scares within a PG-13 setting. She repeats the same process of showing a creature just about to rip into someone, and then we cut away while hearing a scream. There's one death which is shown as a silhouette on the wall, which was at least a little creative, but there's not much else here. And it's a real shame, because this moment from Temple of Doom is iconic and was what helped start up the whole idea of a PG-13 film. That's horrifying. That's really scary. It's gory without being excessive. It really works. And Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't have anything even remotely close to this. Perhaps what constitutes PG-13 has changed since then. I don't know. And there were further limitations on Emma, which denied her the ability to create really great kills. Nevertheless, I'm sure it's something that you'll notice as well after you walk out of the theater. There just isn't anything special to the film. Now, it is performing phenomenally at the box office, and I have no doubt that Five Nights at Freddy's will make a ton, even with its simultaneous release in theaters and on Peacock. A PG-13 horror film with an established brand releasing wide just before Halloween? It's a no-brainer profit-wise, and this will probably get a sequel or two as well. But if anyone is at all interested in making a good horror film, then you're going to need to show some more guts.
Corn syrup. Same stuff they use for pig's blood in Carrie.
All up, Five Nights at Freddy's just isn't any good. It's not bad in the sense of reaching for greatness and failing, or bad in the sense of having a unique point of view that's not to someone's liking. It is simply bad because nothing comes together. It doesn't have that X factor, and there's nothing you can do to save it. Thanks so much for watching.
Bobby, go!